and it allows our solutions to provide fast-acting, quick absorption rates into those plants.
Learn about their plant and soil products at huma.us.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. State Senator Sally Turner is on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, Sally. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing great, Seth.
Good to hear.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show with us. Always good to have you. And, Sally, a couple weeks ago, we got some pretty interesting, I would say, news out of Lincoln from the state of Illinois that's going to impact a pretty big employer in the area. What do you have for us? What do we know about the latest with the Logan Correctional Centers?
Yeah, so it was some devastating news that we received. First of all, we received it the night before it came out in the newspapers, which same with the mayor and the county board chairwoman, and asked me. We all got it the night before it came out, so we were actually infuriated that this just popped in, and that news is devastating. But what we recognize is that everyone knows that Logan Correctional Center is in need of repairs. However, that current state of disrepair is because of the neglect and those misplaced priorities that the administration has not taken care of the place all these years. And Logan Correctional Center, we know, has about 500 direct jobs. Our community depends on it, even in all our surrounding counties, and immeasurable local economic benefits. So overall, there's a process that happens with this agency called COGFA. And COGFA is a process that it goes through, and anytime there's a state facility closure. So they did their public announcement, and then after that, it gets filed with, this notice gets filed with COGFA, and then COGFA can do a recommendation, and then there's a 30-day public comment period. And when that 30-day public comment period starts, they have to go to an area that's within the 25-mile radius of Logan Correctional Center. And that's when, that's a public hearing, I'm sorry. The comment period, we could submit written comment. And then after that is a public hearing. That's the 25-mile radius around the correctional center. And that's when they're going to hear from many of us that will come. I'm sure all the AFSCME employees will as well. Mm-hmm. So that's just a little bit of where we're headed.
Well, and Sally, I'm curious your perspective on this, because it's funny, the day that broke, I had the Lincoln mayor on, and he talked pretty extensively with me about it. But I'm curious from your perspective on this. So it sounds like this is something budgeted for, right? Like this is planned for, it sounds like. The governor gave his budget address 6 weeks ago. Why did we not know about it at that time?
Yeah, I agree. There was additional money in Department of Corrections, which isn't uncommon if they're going to fix things or something, capital projects. But what we found out was when they made their call to us and disclosed this, was that Stateville, which is north of us, of course, is going to be going through the same type of process. However, they made the open statement that Stateville will be demolished and rebuilt at the same site. Now, Logan, they said, would be demolished, but they would not commit to us that it's going to be rebuilt in the same site. And, of course, we questioned them over and over again, like, where else are you looking that you have state property you could build a prison in a secure area? Well, they're just not ready to discuss that yet. And so that just put all of us on edge. So myself, Representative Hodder, and Senator Doris Turner from Springfield have a meeting with the governor's office on Monday in which we're going to express our concerns in great deal.
The office, his office, not the governor. Not the governor, his office.
That's correct. With his deputy governor. That's right.
Right, of course, because nobody can get to the governor. When it comes to, Sally, getting your message out, obviously this impacts hundreds of workers, not just in Lincoln and Logan County. I know people probably come from Springfield and surrounding, the southern part of Logan County and maybe even neighboring places. So how about just all the people this would impact? It sounds like there's contingencies for those employees, but nonetheless, that's a lot of people kind of displaced at some level by this. How about those individuals?
Well, absolutely. Look at our businesses. How does that affect our local businesses? I had a conversation with one local businessman from Lincoln that has been there for years, and his family's been there for years, just concerned as how is this going to affect them? Mm-hmm. And it could greatly affect them. So that's one of the things that we want to convey to the governor's office is how this affects us economically, and that Logan County and Lincoln has lost not only LDC that they kind of left in disarray and all their trash behind, but then we lost Lincoln College, and then Lincoln Christian has changed as well. So, we've had one hit after another, and to take this away from us would just be devastating. So I think with all of us getting together, and there's going to be a process, there's not a lot we could do right now, except for I would encourage employees to continue to reach out to their ASME union, who are doing a good job of trying to push as well. And we are there to help represent you and what we know that Logan County needs.
Well, how does this play itself out then, Sally? If this is just a waiting game on the governor to announce where the prison is going to go, the state, is it Logan Correction that could be potentially moved? Is that right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So then, what's the timeline on this? What do you speak to? Just kind of where this process goes next here now.
Yeah, I believe it's like 190 days total, but there's a process through this COGFA that each thing takes a different amount of days or has a maximum amount of days that they can do replies to this, do that. There's we have that on our website, and it talks about how this COGFA process works, like the public announcement, and then the executive, being the mayor or the governor's office, files the notice, and then what COGFA may ask for a recommendation, and then that recommendation's filed, and then there's a 30-day comment period, and then there's 35 days after that there's a public hearing. So, and then there's another 50 days after that COGFA issues an advisory opinion. So there's a lot of things in that time frame. But before we get to that, we want to make sure that we push out our message and let the governor's administration know how we feel and why this is wrong, and that we do know that Logan Correctional Center needs a lot of work, and it does. It really does. It needs a lot of work. But that doesn't mean that we can't rebuild in the same place, mm-hmm. and that they can't come up with a plan that makes this work for everyone, mm-hmm. including the inmates.
It sounds like a mess. It really does, Sally.
Yeah. Well, that's the way things seem to happen in our state.
Well, Sally, anything else on that issue? Anything we haven't touched on you want to put out there for us?
No, just, again, employees continue to reach out to ask me, and we are pushing as much as we possibly can, and whenever we have more information, we will push it out as well. And the unfortunate thing, it seems like we are just like everybody else. We're the last to know anything. So we will continue to push and get some answers.
Yeah, speak to that a little bit, just kind of I don't want to say the shady nature, because I don't think it was shady, but it was just, there was no warning. It just kind of came to be. How about that?
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. Now, I will say there was a report that an outside agency did for Department of Corrections. It's about a year ago. And a couple of the things they recommended were they needed to rebuild different facilities, and 2 of them were Stateville. There was another one in that mix, and I don't recall which one it was, but that recommendation was there, but it didn't say anything about then these steps need to be done. It just was an evaluation of all the facilities. So we knew that was there, but nothing ever came of that. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we got this closure message from the DOC and deputy governors.
Yeah, sure. Interesting stuff. Well, Sally, let's take a break here. Come back with some more. State Senator Sally Turner, my guest on the phone this morning. More to come with her on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. It is USDA Crop Report Day today. Corn opening steady, beans lower, and wheat steady. May corn 427.5 up 3/4. July corn up 1/4, 439.5. December new crop 461 3/4 down half a penny. May beans 11.89 down 3.5. July beans down 3.5, 12.03, and November new crop down a nickel. 11.78.5. May Chicago wheat starting today 546.5 down a penny. July wheat down a penny, and September wheat also down a penny at 579.5. May bean meal 337.50, that's down $1.50, and May bean oil 47.77 up a dime. Opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday morning, USDA Crop Report Day. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Here's another Clinton Save-A-Lot satisfied customer.
Charlene, and I'm from here in Clinton. They got the freshest meat in town, really. I've always liked their meat better than the other stores around. Prices are very reasonable, yes. The aisles are a little bigger, and everything's easier to find here, and the people are friendly here that work here.
And as owner Dave Jackson says,
and we hope to see you soon.
Allergy season is here, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine is here to help. No appointment, no problem. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
The Bible says in John 11:25-26, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. We can still have a relationship with Jesus today. Just believe in him. Remember that this Easter season.
Join us 9 a.m. Easter Sunday at the Clinton United Methodist Church. More details, clintonumcil.org. UMC is a great place to be.
Hi, this is Dr. Sue Sturr at Covenant Animal Clinic, your hometown vet in Clinton. Now is the time to protect your pet from heartworm disease. We are now offering ProHeart 6, which protects your pet for 6 months with one simple injection. Get all the details by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt counties is the leader in fire, water, and mold restoration. See all the many services they can offer your home or business by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, State Senator Sally Turner on the phone with us here for this morning. Sally, let's talk legislation. Of course, we're coming up on the spring legislative cycle where we start to see new bills introduced, and I'm sure a host of new laws will be coming our way when we turn over the calendar year next year. But in the meantime, Sally, what's catching your ear and your eye down there in Springfield? Anything from your perspective?
Yeah, actually, there's been over 8,000 bills filed. That's a lot to go through. But some of the ones that have made it through committee are the ones that we're paying attention to, and there's just a few more days that they can get through committee. But a few of the things I wanted to mention, I guess, on your show was that, when we go out and about in our community, we do traveling office hours, and then we also have our Lincoln and Springfield office as well, too. But the thing we hear the most about is that, difficulty making ends meet and the high prices of groceries and gas and energy. But one of the top issues is the illegal migrant crisis. And, we know that the governor has provided about $1 million when it first started toward that crisis, but we're seeing that in the budget that he's taking money from various accounts that we're not quite sure of where this is coming and where it is going. That could be up to $1 billion. So there's been a few bills that we filed. One of them is one about transparency, and that's Senate Bill 3170, and that was to demand transparency from the administration so that we know what the cost and the budget is going toward the migrant crisis. And I think that's really important. We just need to know where you're taking the money from. Are you taking it from other projects or other agencies and making it go toward this? That's one of our big ones. And then another one is eliminating the Trust Act, and that's 2649, which our local law enforcement would really like to see. And that is, right now, our law enforcement is prohibited from participating in the immigration enforcement. So that's really important to them that they do that. And we change that and get rid of the Trust Act. So that's just part of the bills on immigration. There's a lot more in the House because there's a lot more members. But those are just a few things that the Senate has brought forth.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, we have some other bills that I can mention about helping struggling families in Illinois.
How much of an issue is the migrant stuff in Springfield among your peers there, Sally?
Well, it's a big issue for our caucus because a lot of places are getting still bus drop-offs and things of that nature. And part of the problem is that we don't have those resources for individuals that are being dropped off. And, it's a humanitarian issue, too. I mean, you just can't leave someone on the street. That's a terrible thing. So even if they are dropping these people off, there's no resources to help them, and there's no money to help them. So, of course, we're all looking at the federal government like, what in the world are you thinking? Get this fixed at the federal level and make changes on the state level. So that's what we're hearing, we're seeing in regard to immigration. But on the other side, we haven't heard a lot of bills in the Senate about immigration, but we've seen that increase in the budget, and that's, I think, how they intend to fix things.
Well, and that's interesting you say that, because that's where I was going to go next is, you've probably got two sides of the issue. You've got conservatives that want the issue fixed, by the federal government where, maybe it's not necessarily funneling money to Chicago and Illinois for this. It's close the border down and nip this in the bud, if you will. And the other side is, we need to expand our spending, we need to expand programs and all of those things.
Yeah, it's a disaster, and we don't know how this money is being spent. I think that's so important for taxpayers to know, how are you spending our money? And that's why we were asked for that transparency bill, just to show us what you're doing and what you're doing with it. I mean, are you changing programs? Are you depleting programs like for the developmentally disabled, mental health? Where are you taking this money from? And are you changing the services that our folks that live here, changing what they are being given? I mean, the things that they need.
For sure. Very good. Sally, anything you're proposing coming up here in the legislative cycle ahead?
Yeah, actually, I have several bills, but some of them I guess I wanted to mention for helping struggling families are some tax credits. So I co-sponsored legislation to enact these new state tax credits to offset some of the costs that parents incur for their preschool and child care. We did a press conference on that, and that is something that we think is really important. 2717 is the Senate bill, and it's like a $1,500 per child expense, like towards a preschool program or something of that nature. And then we have another one that is co-sponsored with Senate Bill 3104, and it gives parents a state tax credit for their child on income taxes to help with financial relief. So that's another area. So we see the need for, child care is expensive. And we see the need for growing families to be able to have a little bit of assistance. So those are just a couple of things that will be helping, that we hope that'll get out of committee and help our constituents.
Are you hearing anything about the Invest in Kids Act potentially being addressed this legislative cycle?
No, not at all.
So that's just gone.
Pardon?
So that's just gone.
I don't know. I've heard from some of the Invest in Kids people, lobbyists, that they believe that it might come back toward the end of session in a reduced amount. But we could see something, but right now there's no talk of it. It could come in one of those omnibus bills or something to that effect, but we're not quite sure.
Sally, always good to talk with you. Have a good holiday weekend. Are you traveling around the area at all in terms of meeting with your constituents or anything? Anything like that coming up for you?
Yeah, not for Easter, but yes, of course. We are traveling around the area doing office hours. In April, we'll be in Mackinac and Bloomington. We just were in Saybrook and Hayworth. We're all over our district. It's 10 counties, and we try and hit all of our towns at some point in time.
Sure.
But there's a lot of
area, no doubt about it, for sure. Hey, Sally, I got to let you go. It's always good to talk to you, my friend. Sally Turner, State Senator, our guest. Network News is now.
The Big 1520 WHOW